You guys like my shirt? It has cats on it. If you're anything like I was when I was entering college, you're probably pretty worried about how you're going to manage your time. Or maybe you're in college right now and you're trying to find better tips and tricks to help you manage your time. That is what this video is for. When I was in high school, I was very ambitious. Outside of the normal school day, I was in sports, I was in clubs, I was in organizations, I was always doing things on the weekend. But college is a little bit unique because you get to structure it however you want to. If you don't want to go to class, you don't have to go to class. If you don't want to join a club or do extra things to fill your time, you don't have to do that, even though I would recommend that you do extra things to fill your time. I feel like social media places this really big emphasis on academics in college. Of course, you're going to be studying hard, but studying also doesn't have to be your whole life. We've all seen those clips of people who are like, study with me, and then they spend 12 hours in the library, or pull an all-nighter with me, and that can quickly become normalized. Of course, everybody's college experience is different, but I made it through all 4 years without ever pulling an all-nighter or spending more than 4 or 5 hours in the library during finals week. So only when the pressure was very, very high for me to perform well. When I was in college, I was juggling a lot, and I still found these tips and tricks to be very helpful when it came to managing my time. I do understand when those times in your life can seem very busy and like you have zero time to do anything, and that's why I'm here to help. Let my trial and error become your best friends. Also, a forewarning, all of these tips have to do with planning ahead. If you work ahead now when it comes to managing your time and trying to lay things out, your future self is going to love you so much. Do it for your future self. The first tip I have is get a calendar. I talked about this in my practical college advice video, but having a calendar I think is so essential when you're trying to juggle so many things at once. Like I said in that video too, I don't care if it's on paper, I don't care if it's on Notion, I don't care if it's Google Calendar. That's what I like to use just because it was so accessible. Just have somewhere that you're gonna be looking at often or that can send you alerts to put everything in. The first thing I would put into my calendar would be my class schedule for every single week. That way, everything is just laid out, and even if you have it memorized, you're physically able to see your classes filling up those physical blocks of time. After you put your class schedule in, put down important dates. You can do this a couple of different ways. For example, if you have an exam, you can create a completely separate time block at the beginning for like a half hour that just says exam, so you know first thing when you check it in the morning that you have an exam that day. Personally, I was a big fan of color coding, so all of my classes would be in green, and then whenever I would have an exam coming up, I would just change the color of that class from green to red. Just a super eye-catching color, so I knew that there was something important for that day. Also, feel free to put down alerts for homework, lab reports due, or anything else that you're gonna want time to get done. After you have your schedule in and you have all of your important dates, put in things like work, club activities, or anything else that you're going to be committed to that is going to take up time. Once again, we're just trying to see everything physically laid out so you can figure out how much time you're going to have for other activities. After your calendar is now fairly full, you can start putting in your non-negotiables into any free space that you have. I was never as serious as doing this as some people are, but if I saw that I would have a gap between classes that wasn't filled with work or school, I might put that as my designated study time or my gym time. Once again, just blocking off that this is the thing that I have going on today would really help me not brush it off. Doing this ahead of time will also help you to get a realistic view of what your days are going to look like. And if you ever want to add on plans or things change, then you don't have to mentally keep track of all of that because it's just all going to be laid out and ready for you at the beginning of every single week and at the beginning of every single day. Another thing that laying out everything in your calendar can help do is reduce decision fatigue. When you wake up in the morning and you're gonna check your calendar, if everything is just laying right then and there, you don't have to spend the first 10-hour or spend all day worrying about when you're going to be getting certain things done. You know you have class at this time, you know you have work at this time, you know you have X other activity at this time. You've already filled in those blank spots of time with studying, working out, etc. So your brain no longer has to decide when you're going to be doing those things. And that brings me into my second tip, listing out your tasks. This is gonna go hand in hand with the last one, but I personally loved looking ahead to what my week or my day would look like and listing out my non-negotiable tasks that I would have to get done on those days. I don't remember what I was using when I was in college because I think it was something I just pulled off of the Apple Store, but I would find an app that would let me add lists and miscellaneous tasks, and then whenever I felt like I needed to add them to a certain day, that's what I would do. So for example, if I knew that I had a lab report due on a Thursday, I would put in a task for Wednesday that would say finish lab report. The way that I found this method to be super effective for me is to be listing out tasks as early in advance as possible. For example, for exams, I always had the approach of doing a little bit of studying every day rather than trying to do 4 or 5 hours in the library all at once a couple days before. So a week and a half before I would have my exam, I would put on the Monday before, study for anatomy for 15 minutes. And then the next day, study for anatomy for 15 minutes. Of course, once you get into the hang of putting your tasks in farther and farther out to help you prepare for some of those due dates, you can start to get more specific. If we go back to the lab report example, if my lab report was due on Wednesday, then Monday I might make a task that says fill out section 1 of lab report. And then Tuesday, fill out section 2 of lab report. If you're someone who likes to procrastinate, listing can also be very useful because you can put when things are due a day or two before. That way you know that you're for sure, 1, going to be working on it before the due date, and 2, are laying out the steps that you need to have done in order for the task that you have to get done beforehand. There are days when my list would be longer than others, and you're going to have times like that too, busier seasons than others, just like life has always been and will always be. You should decide whether or not you want to be able to knock out those smaller tasks first and then move on to bigger ones, or vice versa. Personally, I would always try to do a smaller task first just to get me going. So for example, review 10 flashcards, take a little bit of a break, and then move on to my next thing on my list. I also had a rule for myself. Once my list was complete for the day, because those were my non-negotiables, I got to go and do whatever else I wanted. TLDR, big thing about listing is helps reduce that decision fatigue because you're making the list the night, the week, the couple weeks in advance to help reduce that decision fatigue, and the better you get at it, the more useful of a tool it will be. I already talked about this tip a little bit, but the idea of listing is bringing me into my final idea for time management, which is doing things 15 minutes a day. This is hands down the best advice I ever got in college my freshman year. It was the first time I ever had to write a big paper, and it was for my philosophy class. And she gave us the advice of, if you work every single day for just 15 minutes on this paper, it is going to be done way sooner than you think. And it will also produce better writing and results. Working for 15 minutes a day on something, having that repeated repetition will be so much better for your brain to retain and work on what you're doing than trying to cram everything in a couple of days before. This is another reason that I like to list as soon as I know that I have something. That way I can lay it out and make sure that I have time for my 15 minutes leading up to a task that needs to be done. And like I said, listing, putting things into your calendar, and trying to do things for 15 minutes a day leading up to things is a little bit of a skill stacking habit that is going to take time, experimenting, and a lot of different things to get used to. But I promise, if you can get those 3 things down, you are suddenly going to find yourself having so much more time in your day than you originally thought. Your brain is going to be thanking you because you are going to be reducing so much decision fatigue for yourself by just setting up things in advance. And your brain is also going to be thanking you when it comes to studying or trying to get important things like homework done, because you are going to be seeing content more frequently for shorter periods of time, which is going to help your retention. So basically, I didn't just give you time management tips, I also gave you grade boosting tips. So you're welcome. I know that this video was a little bit shorter, but I do hope that you were able to pull useful things from it. Like I said, college is gonna get busy. Please take some of this advice, set yourself up for the future. Have yourself right now be setting your future self up for success, and your future self will be thanking you. If you liked this video and want to see more, I am going to continue to post college-related tips and tricks on my channel. Feel free to drop a like if you found anything in this video helpful. Even consider clicking subscribe because I am a small channel and I am going to continue talking about college-related things as we head into the new semester. And if you have any questions or ideas for future videos that you would like to see, feel free to comment and I will reply and definitely make a video. Bye!